Hello, welcome to another YouTube video. Today I'm going to talk about what does recovered from chronic back pain mean. I was pondering this actually when I first saw it on it was a website called flippinpain.co.uk, which is essentially a public service set up in the UK, and their motto is, and I'm gonna flick here to read that, is to change the way we think about, talk about, and treat persistent pain. So if you're new to chronic pain, chronic back pain, and other chronic conditions, recovery processes, there's lots of promising ways in which we can actually move out of pain and become pain-free, or even just reduce our pain significantly to allow us to get back to our day-to-day activities with more comfort. And I want to talk a little bit about something they pondered, which was what it means to be recovered, because what they seem to find that it means different things for different people. So I'm going to discuss a few of the areas they touched on, a few ideas that I had for myself, to share a little bit about what I consider to be recovered, and hopefully it can give you a bit of insight into not necessarily having the goal of, oh, I'm only going to be recovered if I'm completely pain-free, for instance, because I've fallen into that trap before, and it's a very easy thing to aspire to, kind of idealistic. At the same time, I know what it's like to be in pain for many years. I had chronic back pain for over 25 years. And of course, you just want to be out of pain as well. So there's this sort of wishful thinking side to it too. So I'm gonna get into it now. Again, being recovered means different things to different people. It could be being completely out of pain. So I've got a few notes here. I'm going to be flicking over there just to make sure I cover what I need to cover, because I think it's important what that actually means, and the kind of things that can lead you to be completely out of pain, to say, I feel recovered because I have no pain anymore, and no chronic pain, because human pain, the human condition, we're always going to have pain, whether it be emotional, physical, psychological, etc. But we're talking more specifically about a chronic pain condition that's dogged you for years. It could be your back, for instance. In my situation, it was my back, my muscle tension, and etc. So it could mean that you've done some therapy with a pain specialist, a therapist, a coach specializing in what's called pain reprocessing therapy, for instance. It's something that Alan Gordon, a book I'm going to mention and have mentioned before, called The Way Out, goes through the process of dealing with the sense that the pain is coming from a space of fear inside us. So often it's to do with connecting to our body, learning to feel safe in our body with the feelings and the sensations of pain or tension, and bringing a bit more calm to our system to help relieve the pain and eventually become pain-free. So that's one way in which we can be led towards being recovered, completely pain-free. And of course, there's a spectrum in between that can just be a reduction of pain, but somebody might only consider themselves to be recovered if they're completely out of pain. So that's the thread I'm going to carry on with, basically. You could have read some books, for instance. There's Healing Back Pain by Dr. John Sarno. He's very much a mind-body specialist when it comes to chronic pain, one of the sort of pioneers of the movement that led the likes of Alan Gordon to his pain reprocessing therapy, for instance. And Dr. John Sarno's books have been known to instigate what they call like a book cure, i.e. you read the book, you understand the concept being that our repressed emotions, especially rage and anger, are the elements that are perpetuating our chronic back pain and other chronic conditions. So some people can read the book, realize, holy shit, my emotional world and these repressed emotions have been essentially, I don't know, stored in the body or being manifested as pain in the body, and understanding these concepts, understanding what those emotional roots are, can lead people towards being out of pain. The same with the book from Alan Gordon, The Way Out. You could essentially read that, go through the process and move yourself out of pain and consider yourself fully recovered. There's also the idea of nervous system regulation now. It's essentially using, now there's multiple ways we can do it. Even the methods or book cures I've mentioned is a form of essentially being more at peace with the emotional world that we live in, and the idea being that when we don't deal with that emotional world, that it causes pain, and the pain will be instigated through our nervous system, and sometimes our nervous system can for lack of a better word, be sort of overactive, i.e. anxiety. For instance, if you feel anxiety often, or you're feeling kind of stressed and highly strung and unable to relax, and maybe I don't know, fidgety or agitated in your body, these are kind of signs that maybe your nervous system is on edge. It's kind of like being in sort of fight or flight on a regular basis, where you're kind of maybe a bit edgy. Someone walks into a room and drops something and you jump or something like that. You would consider that sort of state inside our system to be considered a slightly overactive nervous system, whereas you imagine a relaxed system, your relaxed body, relaxed mind. You're able to take a breath, you're able to be more comfortable in your body, you have a sense of calm in your surroundings. And by working through various modalities, and if you Google nervous system health, you'll find hundreds of different ways in which we can do that. It can be through our breathing, it can be through a moving practice, it can be through what's called brain training, I suppose you could say, just bringing our mind and our thoughts into our space of awareness and trying to reduce the impact of that. For instance, chronic worrying or something will cause stress in our body and our physiology, which can then cause symptoms. So the idea being, of course, you can calm that down, you can calm your mind, calm your thoughts, and come to a place where you are more accepting of the sensations in your body, and that in turn can lead to people moving out of pain. So those are the sort of fully recovered methodologies, I suppose. And again, the scale in between is all of those methodologies can also lead to just reductions in pain. And that kind of leads to my next point, really, because the idea of being recovered can also mean that you still have a bit of pain, but you've reduced your pain enough where you can get back to your day-to-day activities. Day-to-day activities meaning going back to work, starting up an exercise routine, essentially being able to do that physical exercise routine without a flare-up, i.e. might have a bit of niggling pain. I can give you an example of my journey at the moment. I still have bits of tension and bits of pain that I'm working through with the methodologies I've discussed. So there's multiple ways in which you can do that. And what I found is that I can still do my activities. I can still do sport now. I can get back to sport. Like only last year, I really started doing more intensive sport, and I started monitoring where I was comfortable, and that sense of feeling recovered is almost there for me, because although I'm still working on bits of niggling pain and tension in my body, which the way I see it is connected to my nervous system, it's connected to emotional expression, it's connected to fear inside my system, and it's also connected to patterns and habits that my brain has gotten into reacting to certain situations. Now, because I've done a lot of work supporting myself through this process, I'm now able to run around and play football for an hour and a half, and the next day I just have the normal sense of, I did some exercise, whereas in the past I probably would have spent 3, 4, 5 days complaining because everything was aching and blah, blah, blah. So for me, that's a massive move, and that's moving me into the space of feeling recovered, because I was unable to do that before comfortably. You could even apply it to simple housework, taking the rubbish out, doing the vacuuming. These things, if you have chronic back pain, can be tough. They can feel frustrating, and if you can start to work with some of the methodologies and get yourself to a point where you can do the bits around the house, but you're actually less bothered by your pain. You might have a bit of tension, but it's okay. I mean, tension is part of our life, and it seems that this emotional repression, the learnt pain, i.e. our system, our brain gets into the habit of essentially experiencing pain in common situations like bending down or sitting for a long time. All of these things have been connected to a learned pain process. Once you begin to understand that, you start, the way I see it anyway, is you move into that box of feeling more recovered, just because you're getting your life back, you're getting a bit of zest, you're getting a bit of freedom from obsessing over pain and over the sensations in your body, and you can just go mindfully and with awareness and do your day-to-day things and feel much better inside. And for me, that would be my version of recovered right now, because I feel like I'm getting parts of my life back that for a long time I struggled with. So bear that in mind if you are going through this process, is that the idea of being completely pain-free, although a very nice thing to imagine, at times we have to take things step by step. So my third point is also leading on from that sort of step-by-step process, is becoming more psychologically at peace with the process, being more at peace with the fact that you are in pain, and helping yourself and educating yourself that there are ways that you can reduce your pain significantly and essentially feel less stress if your back does become more painful. And this is also a space of recovery, because if you're like me and you had back pain for a long time, and essentially can get very frustrating, right? It can get very frustrating if you're in pain. So becoming more at peace with that can also be part of that recovery. And the final point would be not to try to pin your goal on being completely pain-free. It's 100% possible, but there are scales in between, and you need to decide for yourself, at what point are you going to start saying, do you know what, I've recovered from this shit. I've spent years feeling like a victim of my pain, but now I can walk for a couple of kilometers or a couple of miles or whatever your metric, and feel good and feel refreshed, and say, oh yeah, I noticed a little something there, but you know what, it's okay. I'm working on it. And one of the key things is to work on it and believe that you can move out of pain, maybe reframe what you consider to be recovered, and do your best not to put too much stress on yourself, because stress can perpetuate pain. So take it easy with yourself. Research chronic pain recovery. There's a lot out there. Check out some of my other videos if you'd like to as well, because I talk about this stuff all the time. And good luck, and I will see you in the next one.